It's so hard when you're doing a television show, and when I was doing news radio, I fell into a real, like a spot over a period at least a year where I wasn't writing at all. I didn't do any new jokes. I had the same tired ass jokes.
I remember jumping in your Supra and heading to the Comedy Store. Like, you would go up a lot. You would still do things there, no?
Yeah, but maybe that was a different time. That was when I snapped out of it.
Okay.
So there was a period.
So there Yeah.
I was like, in my head.
That's what I felt like I was doing.
In my head, I was always like, they're going to realize I'm not an actor. I'm going to get fired. This is the last TV show I ever work. I almost got fired from the first show I ever was on.
Right.
It was where I was the star of the show.
Hardball?
Yeah, I almost got fired from that.
I remember that one.
Because I was getting in an argument with the producer. They hired some new producer, and he wrote these terrible lines. I was like, this is insane. Like, this is so bad, it's insane. And they were going to fire me.
You didn't stomach it, man.
I was like,
You
this is
never
crazy.
did.
Well, the thing is, the guys who wrote the original show were brilliant. They wrote for Married with Children. They wrote for The Simpsons.
Right.
And Jeff Martin and Kevin Curran. And when they had their show, the pilot was their show. Like, Jim Brewer was the mascot.
I remember that.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Mike Starr from Goodfellas
Yes.
was in it. I mean, it was Bruce Greenwood, the guy that went on to be in the Star Trek movies. These guys have been in everything. He was in Hardball.
I remember.
Yeah.
I go to your tapings,
Dude,
man. It was so much fun.
They were going to fire me because I was like, this is terrible.
I love that
So
you did
they
that.
hired a new producer. The new producer came in and took over and turned it into like the sloppiest, most obvious, terrible sitcom. Like that prototypical sitcom where you watch and you go, ugh. You just got to get out of the room. The jokes are so goddamn obvious.
Right.
And they wound up firing him. But it was between me and him. And so it literally got down to this thing where they're calling my agent saying, this kid is ruining his career.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And I was like, oh no, I'm ruining my career. So I always thought that eventually they were going to figure out that I'm not built for this. This is not my thing. And so when I would show up on the set of news radio, it's like at any moment in time they're going to figure out that I'm not supposed to be here. But we were working.
Only because you didn't want to, though. I thought you were funny as hell in that stuff.
Yeah,
it
I
was
was
like
just
you just didn't
insecure.
like it. You didn't. You're
insecure. Didn't have any experience about actors. Didn't know how to hang around with them. I was so used to comics.
Right.
So for me, it was like fighters and then comics.
right.
So just crazy people.
Yeah.
I was just only around crazy people. So when I was around normal people or people that were like really sensitive, like really, really sensitive, like sensitive on purpose, like
Yeah.
where they're trying to be offended by things.
That's sitcom people, and when they get into that,
Oh, it was exhausting.
that's hilarious.
It was exhausting. And you'd always hear about tyrants. You'd always hear about like the Brett Butlers and the people that would scream and throw coffee in the face of the writers. Like,
News radio was that bad? Like those guys were.
oh, there was none of that there.
Right. That was cool.
No, there was a party. The writers were great. It was a totally different kind of experience.
Right.
But what was my point? My point was that, what was my point?
You were saying that.
Thought I was going to get fired.
Yeah, you wasn't.
feel like
It wasn't
I had
for
a
you.
point.
You thought they were going to find you out.
Oh, so I had to just do stand-up just to prove that I was still a comic. Because I remember at one point in time, the producer of News Radio said to me, he was like, why are you still doing stand-up? You're an actor now. I was like, oh, no.
I'll never take that away from you.
I was like, oh, no, I got to get out of here. I was like, I was literally thinking like,
They're
oh, this
changing
is like
you.
a trap.
They're changing you. It's
this is a
right, yeah.
trap. And then I had one really bad set one night in front of one of the producers and one of the writers. I fucking ate shit.
Really?
I went up at the store like late at night at like 1 a.m. in the main room and just had a terrible set. Just bombed. And then I really got to work after that. Then I realized like, oh, I've been slacking off.
Well, that's what I felt, man.
I've been slacking
yeah.
off because I've been working 16-hour days,
Yep.
and I use it as an excuse to not write. And then from then on, like everything got way better, like way better. My stand-up, I dialed it in much more.
How do you write? How do you? Are you the guy sitting down?
I sit down in front of a computer and I just write. I don't write like this is exactly how I'm going to say it. I just like spill my thoughts out because I feel like it takes me a lot longer to write the words than it does for me to think about things. So the more time that I'm actually just writing the words, it's extra time thinking about the thing.
Do you
where
speak
kinda
it
like
into a
locked
computer?
into
Do you
it.
talk it?
No,
Voice?
I just type.
Really?
Yeah, I type. And I just, whatever the subject is, I'll like, there's this one subject that I'm doing right now where I've written about the subject 4 times. So I start a whole new Microsoft Word file 4 times and just completely revisit it. Just one more time.
What program are you using? Because I'm nuts
Just
with that
Word.
too.
I just use
Word?
Microsoft Word, and I go into there's focus mode. Have you seen focus mode?
Yeah,
So I used
it
to
blocks
use
everything else out. Right?
Yeah, I used to use Lightroom. I'll still use Lightroom.
I did Scrivener. I
use Scrivener. Yeah,
but I'll find
too.
one thing about it, and then I'll go, I don't like this, that it does sets my bits up this way, or it can't do this, or it can't transfer that, and then I'll spend the whole day looking up for apps for the perfect app, and I'm not writing.
Yeah,
it's like,
you're distracting yourself.
Of course.
Yeah.